The Oakland Plantation home was one of the earliest homes built in Bossier Parish. Dr. Abel Scannell moved both his family and approximately 20 enslaved individuals to Bossier Parish from South Carolina. At the time of the 1860 agricultural census, Scannell enslaved 144 men, women, and children who worked the agricultural fields across his 9,899 acres. The main home at Oakland Plantation was constructed in stages, possibly starting as early as 1832 and continuing through the 1840s. The house was made of hand-hewn timbers of oak, put together with pegs and pins. Its wooden floors were 2 inches thick. On each end there was a brick chimney rising above a gabled 1.5-story high roof. There was a wide open, breeze-catching hallway between 2 rooms. Another separate building behind that housed the kitchen and dining room. The front I-style portion from about 1848 still stands today. The windows in this building were larger than those in the original back building. Stan McCallan, who owned Oakland Plantation in the 1960s, believes that Dr. Scannell added the large windows to allow ample sunlight and fresh air inside, hoping to ward off illness. Several of the Scannell children had passed away when the family lived inside the original space, and Scannell tried to protect the health of his surviving children. The oldest part of the home was occupied until the 1960s, when termite damage left it in a severe state of disrepair. The 1832 section was taken apart, and some of the salvaged materials were used in the renovations of the rear portion of the house. The McCallan family owned the home and restored it to its current state. While those renovations altered the appearance of the back of the house, the front facade retains its original historic look. The family cemetery, including Dr. Scannell's grave, is nearby the house in the woods. Abel Scannell and his wife Elizabeth had several children, but experienced the death of at least 5 of them at young ages. The children and Elizabeth all died prior to the founding of the local Bossier Banner newspaper, so we do not have any obituaries or death notices to look at for clues. We don't know how Abel's wife Elizabeth died in 1853. She was not quite 32 years old. Perhaps childbirth, swamp fever or malaria, or yellow fever are possibilities. Dr. Scannell was an expert on bilious remittent fever, a malarial type recurring fever that results in death, also called congestive fever. One is left to speculate if he studied this illness due to his wife's death.
Oakland Plantation on Sligo Road in Bossier Parish has a really interesting history to it, and it's probably one of the oldest plantation homes that we have in this part of the state. It is not only associated with the antebellum period and pre-Civil War era in Louisiana, also of course stood through the Civil War, and is associated with a very eccentric personality that has lent some of the paranormal lore that the plantation enjoys today in the 21st century. So Dr. Abel Scannell, who actually constructed the house probably beginning in the early 1830s. Some dates place the first construction as early as 1832, but certainly the construction continued into the 1840s. And he had a rather eccentric habit, apparently, of having purchased his own coffin, or so the story goes, and he stored his coffin in the attic of the home. Well, that doesn't seem so odd, I suppose, until you consider that the second part of that legend is that Dr. Scannell sometimes liked to sleep in the coffin, and apparently had quite the reputation as a jokester among many of his family members. So something that might be not inconsistent with his pranking personality turned into lore that contributed to the persistent story, the persistent rumors that the house is haunted. Well, the house has stood obviously for a very long time, through the Civil War period, obviously still standing in 2021. At one point in time, Dr. Scannell and his descendants had acquired almost 8,000 acres in Bossier Parish. So we don't know precisely the extent of how much of that was farmed at any given point in time, but certainly the house, the reason I think so many people are still interested in it is because of its paranormal appeal. So what goes on in the house? Well, apparently people who have slept there have had their bed covers removed from the bed. There are occurrences of furniture moving, cabinet doors opening and closing in full view of witnesses, by the way, and a table arrangement, table setting, having silverware moved around is also another commonly reported thing. So it has been the subject of some paranormal investigations. Louisiana Spirits paranormal investigators have been there on a couple of occasions, and I don't know what evidence exactly that they found, but obviously it still continues to have that appeal. I think it's a great reminder to all of us today that whether or not we believe in hauntings or we believe in the paranormal, structures like that and the lore that comes about because of them draws us deeper into the history, and that's never a bad thing. It helps us to learn more about the families who lived there, more about what their life may have been like in the 19th century, and the fact that the home still stands today is a beautiful testament to the architecture and the culture of this entire region.